Hello AOS fans, Robin here. Once again I've managed to lose Pete. I'm not sure what he's doing, hopefully right now editing this video. Anyway, hi Pete, I hope you're okay. Do try and work on those locks on that dungeon. Right, what have we got this week? This week is another Words Wednesday, and today's Word Wednesday is Christmas. Yes, Christmas. Christmas is just around the corner. It's November now. By the time you've watched this, it'll probably still be November, but it'll be nearly December. And so I thought I'd run down some of my favourite, more recent Christmassy books. So, what should we start with? So all of these books are set in and around Christmas. They're not all proper true Christmases, or they're not all set in this world. Most of them are, but they all touch on Christmas, and they're all pretty great. So I'll start at the top with these two. There's actually three of them now, but I haven't got the third one yet. Looking forward to that one. It starts with A Boy Called Christmas by Matt Haig. I'm a big Matt Haig fan. I've reviewed a few of his books in the past. I love The Humans. The Humans is probably my favourite book he's written, but possibly this one is. This is an absolute joy. I read this one last year to my son, and it details the son of a woodcutter in Finland or Lapland, somewhere like that, going on a quest for his dad, who disappears, and he ends up basically his dad's gone to capture some elves, and then he goes after his dad because he's on his own, and what follows is just a lovely magical story. So it's not a traditional Christmas story in the sense that it's about a stable in Bethlehem, but it's full of folklore tradition and the sort of stories around Father Christmas and the kind of things that have been built up around Santa over the years, and how they meld with kind of traditional folklore. And it's really lovely. It's funny because it's quite clever. It's very clever the way he weaves some of the little stories and quirks we have around Santa Claus and Father Christmas. And so it's very, very clever the way he does that. And it is kind of about the essence of Christmas. He's Matt Haig. If you follow him on Twitter, he's a lovely guy, and he's sort of, I guess, he's got a strong social conscience, and that comes through in this. How important thinking about other people is at Christmas time, and all that sort of thing. So it's a really lovely, lovely sort of myth and fable to talk to children about some of life's behaviours that are unfair. Let's put it that way. And so it's just a beautiful book. I really like it. So that's the first one in this. They're not really a series, but he's written three now. That's the first one. We read that last year. This is the second one, The Girl Who Saved Christmas. It's Christmas Eve and all is not well. Amelia Wishart is trapped in Mr. Creeper's workhouse and Christmas is in jeopardy. Magic is fading. If Christmas is to happen, Father Christmas knows he must find her. With the help of some elves, 8 reindeer, the Queen, and a man called Charles Dickens, the search for Amelia and the secrets of Christmas begins. Now this one is set way back in the past. This one I haven't read yet. This is our Christmas. We're going to get this out on December the 1st and start reading it. Because we loved it so much last year. So that's our reading for this year, and then next year I shall read the third one, which is not out in paperback yet, but is out in hardback. It's called Father Christmas and Me, and the Father Christmas in this one is the Father Christmas in this one much later on. There's lots of magic and stuff in this one, and it looks like there's lots of magic and stuff in this one, and they're basically about the magic of Christmas. Takes me on to our current read, our current sort of pre-Christmas read, this one. I had no idea until seeing a random tweet that this is set at Christmas, and the chapter we're reading at the moment is called Christmas Eve, and it starts with Will, just before Will's birthday, which is on midwinter's Eve, and so the book is steeped in Christmassy, snowy kind of setting. It's set in England somewhere, sort of ruralish England. This is The Dark is Rising. It's a classic. It's written by Susan Cooper. I think it was actually written in 1974, so it's a year younger than me. And there's several books in the series. This actually technically is the second book in the series, but I think everybody reads this one sort of a bit like a Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe situation. I don't actually know if that's true because this is the only one I've read. Been meaning to read it for ages. Saw that it was a Christmassy-esque book. Thought I'd go for it. So we're reading it. We're reading it at the moment. We're about halfway through, and if you haven't read it, it's absolutely amazing. I've been reading it to my nearly 9-year-old. He's born just before Christmas, so that's really nice. That Will was also born just before Christmas, and he's loving it. I think the language, he's not the strongest of readers. The language will be a bit hard for him to read on his own, but he's loving listening to it, and the language in the book is fantastic. Really deeply evocative of these wintry woods and a cold winter in Britain. And there's some magic in it, and there's some sort of time travel, and that's about as far as we've got. There's a really sinistery type villains, very reminiscent of the Nazgul, I have to say, but we're not really reminiscent of the Nazgul, but that kind of black dread that you get when the Nazgul are in the Lord of the Rings. They come through this, so that is really good. So it's not a new book by any stretch of the imagination, but it's new to me, and if it's new to you, then I thoroughly recommend that, especially for older children looking for a sort of Christmassy read. I would definitely go with The Dark is Rising by Susan Cooper. I can't believe it's taken me this long to find it. That's that one. This one I actually just quickly mentioned. I got this from my local library. Local libraries, because they're amazing. So if you don't even need to buy it, go and get it from the library. Okay, what's next? The Legend of Podkin One Ear and The Gift of Dark Hollow. Both by Kieran Larwood. This one was out last year. It was the Blue Peter Book Award winner last year. This one is set on Bramblemas Eve. So not exactly Christmas Eve, but Bramblemas is Christmas. This is, as you can probably see from the cover, an anthropomorphised animal tale. Now, your children may or may not like those. It's definitely got rabbits in it, so everybody immediately says Watership Down. It's hard to avoid that comparison, and it's probably a worthy one. It's not nowhere near as thick as Watership Down and not quite as meaty, but it's a lovely fairy tale fable set in Christmas. There's some evil iron-clad rabbits taking over the burrows, and Podkin is a sort of cowardly hero, or not hero at the beginning, just a sort of cowardly young rabbit at the beginning, and he builds into something of a hero, overshadowing his sister slightly, which is my slightly bittersweet thing about the book, is his sister does a lot of the good work and then gets overshadowed at the end, which is a reasonable criticism of this one, but it's still a great tale, and Kieran Larwood kind of provides restitution for that minor error, or the error in the follow-up, The Gift of Dark Hollow. So this is basically a story told by a storyteller, so it's happened sometime in the past. So that's the story of Podkin One Ear is in the past, and then the storyteller is telling the story as he goes, and there's little interludes with him in the storyteller in the burrow, and there's some other stuff going on around that which I won't spoil. So this one takes place immediately after the storyteller is sort of in the burrow, after he's finished telling this story. So almost immediately afterwards, from that perspective, and he carries on telling his story in slightly different circumstances. And the story that he tells does follow on from this one, but a little bit later. So not very much later, but a little bit later. They won in this book, no real secret, they win a battle, but they don't win the war. So there's a follow-up, The Gift of Dark Hollow, and I have to say I think it's a better book. It's really easy to say this after the fact. Podkin One Ear kind of feels like a classic debut. This one feels much more assured. And has some really lovely ideas in it, and you can see it's really building into a kind of epic saga of rabbit kind. There's magical artifacts and arch villains, and some great characters building in there. There's good strong female characters, which is good to see. And there's a lovely idea of the bardic tradition comes out in the book, and it's got a bit of a tearjerker ending. So that is The Gift of Dark Hollow, and so you can read them both this Christmas, or you can read this one this Christmas, this one next Christmas, or whatever. I think if you do read this one and you've got this one, you'll want to get straight on, because they're really lovely books. Kieran Larwood's world building is amazing. I really like it, and again, it's about much like The Dark is Rising. It's kind of about the power of nature and the importance of living in, living in the natural world. Not quite what I mean, but the importance of not letting technology and iron and things take over. So really nice stories, great for kids. I would say probably 8, 9 plus, 7 plus maybe if they're good readers. Really like those. Good fans. If you wanted to introduce your children to the Brian Jacques novels, the Red Wall novels, then these are probably, if they've read those, or you can't, they're a bit harder to get hold of now, then these would be a really good substitute. Looking forward to a third one. There's definitely going to be a third book. This is a series that could run and run, could multiply like, I can't think. But enjoy that book. Really good. The Gift of Dark Hollow and Podkin One Ear by Kieran Larwood. I've got 2 left. There May Be a Castle. This book is set on Christmas Eve. You cannot read it on Christmas Eve because you will cry buckets. I'm almost tempted not to put this in this video because it is a festive story, but oh my goodness, it's so sad. I have not cried like this since reading Cormac McCarthy's The Road, which did me in, and this has similar levels of trauma. The book opens with a family, stressed family, trying to get to where they're meant to be going on Christmas Eve. There's lots of snow on the road, there's fighting in the car, there's a car accident, and so there's 3 children in the car, one single mum in the car. There's a car accident, 2 of the children left in the car with the mum unconscious, and one of them, Mouse here, gets thrown clear and goes on an expedition. And that's probably the best I can say. Mouse has always been accused of being a daydreamer. This is an expedition in his sort of imagination. I don't want to say too much, but it's a lovely, lovely book. The stories, the things that Mouse get up to are amazing, so evocative, really great characters, just brilliant. Loved it so much. And then there's a counterpoint to that. The book's written in 2 fonts. So there's the stuff that Mouse is doing, and then there's another font which is kind of the real world. So that's more of his sister in the car. She's trying to deal with the situation. He's got an older sister and a much younger sister. She's trying to deal with that situation, and it occasionally flips over to his grandparents who are waiting for them to arrive, and they don't. And those bits are pretty hard reading at times. And as it gets towards the end of the book, they switch over more and more, and you kind of realise what's going to happen. Although after reading again, I was reading it to my nearly 9-year-old, and he didn't realise quite what was happening. It's written very cleverly at the end, which is pretty devastating if you're a parent. It's written very cleverly, so it doesn't completely traumatise your children. It kind of glosses over it, and my son kind of missed the deep import of what happened, which I think is a good thing because he'd have been devastated. I was reading it and thinking, oh, how's this going to end? How's this going to end? This could be really bad. He was all right. I was absolutely in floods of tears reading it to him. So I sort of recommend the book because it's amazing. It's beautifully written, really good. Just make sure you've got tissue or there's nobody around when you read it. And then finally, I'm sorry, that is by Piers Torday, that book. I should have said that. So that's There May Be a Castle by Piers Torday. And finally, we have Christmas Days. Now, I actually got this last year, just before Christmas, and included it in the Geek Dad Christmas gift guide. I just thought I'd give it another plug because it's beautiful, fantastic book. You can see it's a lovely finish. If you've got somebody who's difficult to buy for Christmas but they like a bit of read, then this is brilliant. It's Jeannette Winterson, Orange is not the Only Fruit, and other such excellent works of fiction, and a beautiful. She's written a beautiful autobiography as well. She's sort of one of, I would say, the UK's foremost ladies of letters, and this is brilliant. It's 12 stories and 12 feasts for 12 days. It's sort of like 12 days of Christmas, and there are some fantastic Dickensian style ghost stories and sort of one called Dark Christmas, Christmas in New York, The Spirit of Christmas, and then interspersed with that there are some stories of like Ruth Rendell's Red Cabbage. So the famous author Ruth Rendell was friends with Jeannette Winterson, and there's a recipe and a story around her red cabbage. My Christmas Eve, Smoked Salmon and Champagne, and so there's various autobiographical tales of Jeannette Winterson's Christmases. She sort of famously had a difficult relationship with her mother, and it talks about a little bit about that, but it just talks about things she's done, really fun things she's done with her now wife, and before that, in the past, her Christmas traditions in her house, and it's just lovely. I really love this. I read it in about 2 days, just cover to cover. Her well, she's just, there aren't many writers in the world as good as Jeannette Winterson. So that one, for the grown-ups, that one, most definitely. Really great ghost stories, some really nice recipes. I'm going to try some out this Christmas, especially the red cabbage one. Check it out, really good. So that was it. Done. That's today's Word Wednesday was Christmas. Christmas is about a month away now. So I hope you have a great Christmas. I will hopefully have done some Word Wednesday videos before then, but I hope you have a great Christmas. I hope you find some books in there that you'd like to read. I would definitely, well, I've recommended all of them. For the perfect Christmas reading story, I'd go A Boy Called Christmas, because it's just lovely. Start there and you will be entranced for the festive season. So I hope that was useful. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give some thumbs up if you did. Please leave some comments about what your favourite Christmas books are. And probably some others I could have included. And I'm always on the lookout for a good read at Christmas. So do let me know if you've got any great Christmas stories. I'm sure there are millions that I haven't got here or I've forgotten. So maybe not millions, but tens. So do leave a comment to that effect. And I hope you've enjoyed the video. And until next time, take care and we'll see you soon. Bye.